In today's tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to make the curved table runner. This is actually a coffee table runner, and this is what it looks like. So let's get started. To begin, you're going to print out your templates and cut them out. So this is the seam allowance, those little dotty lines. You want to make sure to include that in your cutout when you're doing it. So we are going to take our fabric over to the iron, and we're going to iron it because it just makes tracing our shapes onto the fabric a whole lot easier. All right, we're just over here at the iron, and I've got my iron on, and we're just going to iron out any kinks that we've got, and then we can start doing our tracing. All right, so for the curved shape or the background piece, which is piece A, we're going to use black, and we're going to use this white chalk erasable pencil just to trace it out. So normally I don't have, this much fabric for something this size, but I just grabbed it from my stash. It was an extra square, so I can use it probably for another project. So I'm just going to line my seam allowance. So this is the seam allowance there. It's got those dots that we've cut out. And we're just going to hold our hand and just trace around our shape. And don't worry about marking the center right now. We are going to cut this out. And then once we have our shape cut out, then we can take and find the middle here. So we're going to take that and cut that out. But first, I'm just going to quickly show you the other shape. So this is shape B. It's a quarter circle here. And again, we're just going to match it up on our fabric here. And for this cutout, we're going to use a washable graphite pencil. And just gently, you don't want it too dark or anything like that, but want it to show up enough that you can cut it out. So I just apply just a little bit of pressure, nothing crazy. Okay, and remember, we've included that seam allowance. So now we can cut out these pieces and we can sew everything together. All right, so now that we have cut our shapes out, what I want you to do is find the center on both of your pieces. So in order to do that, we're just going to align these pieces like that. And you can iron them if you want, but I find just finger pressing is fine. So I've aligned these end pieces. So this is what our piece looks like unfolded, right? And I've folded them so these ends match perfectly. Oops. And then you're just going to take your finger and find that center up here. So this is the curve, and we just want to finger press down quite firmly. And then when we unfold it, we're going to see this curved piece. Hopefully you can see that in the video. But we've marked our center. That is really important. So now we're going to take this other curved piece, our white piece, and we're going to find the center on this as well. So we've taken our curved piece and we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to align these edges up, right? Just like that. And then you're going to finger press to find the middle, just like that. Now we can unfold it, and now we have the center piece marked for both of our pieces. This is really important to get that center on both pieces before we sew them together. Next, I'm going to pin them, and I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew everything together. All right, so I went and I grabbed my pins. So we've taken our two pieces here, our quarter circle and our base piece, and we have our crease marks that mark the center. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take our curved piece here and align it to our base. And we're going to align those marks that we made earlier. This piece is the most important, and you have to pin this one first, because if you don't, your curve might not match up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I always like to start at the left side, a creature of habit, but whatever you feel comfortable. And we're going to align these curved pieces. I know that it's going to feel really strange, and use as many pins as you need to pin it in place, but it does feel really, really strange. But we want to make sure that our fabric aligns perfectly, okay? Just like that. You don't want any gaps or puckers. And then just keep on aligning, making essentially you're making a straight bit without it being a straight, if that makes sense. You're aligning your curved bits. So just keep on doing that. Keep on going in little portions and pinning every so often. And don't be afraid to use like 1 million pins if that's what it takes, because I do. I pin a lot when I'm doing curves. Okay, and the farther out you go to the edges, the more difficult it gets, I find. Okay, so now we have aligned everything up, and you can see that our corners match perfectly. And we're just going to pin this last one together, and then we're going to go to the other side of our curve, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So if you can tell, like when you're piecing it together, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. If you can see, like, I'm aligning the edges like that, right? And when I'm aligning those edges, the one piece kind of curves a little bit farther down. You want to stop there before it does that weird thing and pin it. So I want to make sure that my fabric pieces align really well here. And like I said, use as many pins as it takes to make sure that your curves match up in the base. Okay. So if you could tell, like, see what I've done here? Like, it starts not to align, right? And we want to place a pin before it kind of starts going haywire. So that's where I place my pins, is before it starts curving down again. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but you'll understand what I mean when you're making it. Okay, so I've got a couple more pins. It's just really important to make sure that your fabric edges line up, your raw edge lines up, and it's not like that, right? You don't want to sew that because it's not lined up. So you want to make sure that it's lined up perfectly. All right. So our curved edges are all lined up, and now we are ready to take it. I know it looks pretty crazy, right? But don't worry. I know that is intimidating to look at, and you're going to look at it and be like, this looks wrong, but it's not. Trust me. So now we're going to take it over, and we're going to sew all the way here, removing the pins as we come to them. So I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine, and I'll do my best to show you. All right, so I'm over at my sewing machine, and I've got everything ready to go. Normally what I would do is I would have, because my top is white, my bottom is black, I would have a black bobbin, but I'm being lazy, so I'm not going to do that. But if you're making one, then you could totally do whatever colors that you're doing. So anyway, I'm trying to line this up, and it can be a little bit tricky to start. I will be honest, I've made a lot of curves, but I still find the beginning of every curve like a little daunting. So we have it in our, hopefully you can kind of see that we have it in our sewing machine, and I am just going to start sewing. Put my needle down. I'm just going to take a couple and then go back. And now I can remove that first needle. And I apologize if you can't really see. I have the shittiest tripod in all of the land. And we're just gonna do a 1/4 inch seam. All of my patterns are a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you just wanna make sure that when you're sewing that you're not accidentally sewing the base improperly. Like it's not folded over and you're accidentally sewing that as well, because that really sucks. I like to press my fingers down so my curve is flat. And I'll remove my pins as I go. Sometimes I will sew right over them. But if you're worried about that, then, well, don't do it. Easy fix. I've been lucky so far. I've only wrecked one needle by sewing over my pins. But anyway, okay, so I just want to make sure that my bottom is nice and snug. I'm kind of tugging very gently, smoothing out. I shouldn't say tugging. I don't want you to tug on this because that would be bad, but just smooth it out and go slow. You don't have to, it's not a race, right? Especially your first curve, it's like, oh my goodness. It's a lot. Curves, I think, were one of the hardest things for me to learn how to sew, just because of the way that they're pieced. But once you get it, then you get it. Like if you're making sure to do your halving all of your shapes and aligning your middles together, then you'll be styling. No worries. So after we are done sewing this, we're going to take it back over to our, it's kind of coming unaligned there a little bit. We're going to take it back over to our iron, and we're going to give it another iron to flatten everything out. And then you can trim up your blocks as you go, because the finished blocks are 6 by 6, but unfinished is what you're going to be sewing together. So you're going to trim your blocks to 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches because we're making a block. So I'm just trying to align these a little bit better. Like I said, the ends are a little stinky, and you're gonna find that. Just the ends cannot be helped, but I just don't want to pucker, so I'm trying not to have a pucker. And I will leave that. You can lift up your foot and reposition your fabric if you need to, but never, make sure that your needle is down. Your sewing needle is down, okay? I just took the pin out there because I'm having a hard time getting these to align properly, and I think that's just it's gonna be a little bit unaligned. Put your foot back down. Make sure that when you make adjustments, your needle is always down. There we go. Well, look at that. And don't worry about the pin marks. Once you have ironed your piece out, they will disappear. So look at that. We've made our first curved block, and it does look a little funky, but after you iron it, and you iron first and then you square up your block, but after you do all of those, then it's gonna look super cool. And what you can do to make it lay even better is take your scissors, be very, very, very super careful not to cut your sew line. But what we can do is just snip into it just a little bit, not getting too close to your sew mark there, but you can put these little clips in. I forget what they're called. Oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, you can cut them in around your curve, and it will help your block sit really nice and flat. So that's what I like to do anyway, but don't, whatever you do not clip your sew mark there, your seam, because you'll cry and it'll suck and you'll have a hole. So yeah, I just like to make little clips in there. I forget what they're called, but anyway. And then it'll sew even better, or it'll lay even better. So look at that. It even improved it even more by doing our little clip marks. So we're gonna take it over to the iron, and we're gonna iron this dark sides facing. So we're gonna make sure that your sew mark, oh, I'm gonna clip this here really quick, that you're ironing to the dark side. Okay, so that's looking really good. So remember to clip, because look how nice that lays, you know, considering it was kind of bunching up a little bit before. So we're gonna iron that, and then we're going to trim our block to 6.5 and 6.5. And then we can put it in our pile and make another 11 of these, because you need 12 blocks total to make the coffee table runner. Okay, we'll be back. We're now ready to square up our block. We have sewn it all together and we have ironed to the dark side. So now we are ready to square it up. So this block needs to be 6.5 by 6.5 inches square. And I find the best way to square up a block is to actually fold it in half. So I'll show you what to do. So you're gonna fold your square up, and this works for anything, like any square block that you are making, like half square triangles, quarter square triangles, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as it's a square, you can do this. All right, so I have taken and put tape on my ruler, and it's at the 6.5 and 6.5 inch mark. So we are going to line up this edge of the tape, the top edge, to the bottom edge of our square. Now, if it was, say if it was like a half square triangle, then we would put this line on the stitches. But because we're not making a half square triangle and they are curved, we're just going to fold it in half, and then we're going to align the top of our square, or ruler rather, to the top, to the point. So we're going to do our best to match up this taped line, and it can be difficult because we're using black, to the edge of our square here. And we're just gonna move it over just a little bit so our point is in the same direction as the point of our square. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just gonna make sure, because it is a little bit difficult, especially with the black fabric, to make sure that we've got our square perfect. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I keep on moving it a little bit. So this edge, if you can see, this is what we need to be trimmed. And now we only need to make 2 cuts instead of 4 to square up our, I think I need to change my, sorry if it's moving. I have the crappiest tripod. I promised to get a new one. I just haven't found one that's actually decent. Maybe you could leave a comment about a good one that I can mount my phone on. Okay, so this way we get a perfect square. We don't have to worry about squaring up each side of our square. We just fold it in half and make 2 cut marks, and then we have our perfect square. So now that this is trimmed to 6.5 by 6.5 inches, we can put it in the pile and make 11 more of these, because you need 12 total in order to make our coffee table runner. So we're just going to put that in the pile and keep making more of our curves. Thank you so much for purchasing the pattern, and if you haven't yet, it's available at my website, so you can purchase the pattern and start making your own curved pieces for yourself. You can make the coffee table runner that I have shown in the video. It's a lot of fun. It looks really good. You can use any kind of color combination, and I would love to see what colors that you choose. So definitely go check out my website. It is exshawquilts.com. and the patterns will be available there. I also have a quilting tutorial that you can go and check out, because you can finish your table runner, your coffee table runner, either by machine quilting or hand quilting, and I love hand quilting. It is probably my favorite thing to do when it comes to quilting. So I do have a tutorial on that. You can go check it out here on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description and somewhere in this corner up here. Thanks again. Bye now.